The SIU clears Thunder Bay Police in a cell fatality. One person seriously injured following a single vehicle crash. And the Chicago Blackhawks jump out to an early Stanley Cup final lead. Good evening again. Thank you for being with us. No Thunder Bay police officers will be charged in connection with the death of a man while in custody last August.
But while the Provincial Special Investigations Unit has determined no charges were warranted, it had some harsh criticism over how the man was treated while under police care. The 44-year-old victim was brought to the police holding cells on August 2nd of last year for being intoxicated. He was found unresponsive in his cell early the next morning and pronounced dead by EMS personnel who attended the scene. In its ruling, the SIU says officers acted correctly in taking the man into custody, but it says they failed to properly report or respond to complaints from the man about breathing difficulties, which may have provided him the medical attention needed to prevent his death. Thunder Bay Police Service spokesperson Chris Adams says even though the SIU investigation is over, there will now be an internal review.
Any situation like this, and this was a very tragic situation for the individual and obviously for the family, it is something that we take very seriously, and in fact we are conducting an internal review, and that review looks at our policies, procedures, and it also looks at the practices that were in place at the time. So it is definitely something we take seriously, but as I said, there is now an internal process that's in place.
A 61-year-old male driver has been taken to hospital with serious injuries following a single vehicle crash in the city's East End. Witnesses say the incident happened this morning near the intersection of Mackenzie and Robertson Streets when a vehicle went out of control at slow speed and struck a fence. Bystanders reportedly had to break the rear window of the vehicle to gain access and found the driver with vital signs absent. CPR was performed inside the vehicle while they awaited the arrival of emergency personnel. At last report, the man is said to still be alive, but in serious condition. The intersection where the accident occurred was closed for a couple of hours while the investigation was underway, but has since reopened to traffic. Meanwhile, police are looking for those people who broke into that window to assist the driver, saying their actions may have helped to save a life.
Murder charges have been laid following a death on the KI First Nation. Police were called to a residence in the community last night and arrived to find a man badly injured. He was transported to the community nursing station where he was pronounced dead. He's been identified as 35-year-old Darren Cromarty of KI. Police say they subsequently took a suspect into custody and charged her with second-degree murder. 28-year-old Marina Crow is expected to appear in a Sioux Lookout court tomorrow.
There was a huge hue and cry in southern Ontario earlier this week after police shot and killed a black bear that had wandered into a residential neighborhood. And it's left many people asking questions over what protocols are in place to properly deal with nuisance bears. Here in the Northwest, police and M&R officials handle such cars on a more frequent basis. And as Ashley Bacon reports, that's left them feeling a little bit more prepared for these types of situations.
Seeing a bear here in Thunder Bay is not at all unusual, and local M&R officials say they have staff ready to handle such situations when they arise. Regional Outreach Specialist Michelle Novak says the number one concern is public safety.
The police will take the call, the 911 call or the call to Thunder Bay Police, and they will take the information, and at their request, the Ministry of Natural Resources will assist in that call.
Well, our comm center is going to try to establish, first of all, what the threat really is, how dangerous is the situation. When it comes to bears in urban settings, it can be a dangerous thing. Our first concern would be to just make sure that there is no immediate safety risk.
Thunder Bay Police spokesperson Chris Adams says it is not the intent of police to remove the bear. He says officers will first try to scare the bear back to wherever it came from.
Using sirens, horns, in a safe manner. Now, if the bear, though, becomes a threat to the public, meaning it's in a confined space or it's aggressive, there are people around, there's a safety concern. If we can't deal with it with the M&R's help, then unfortunately the bear has to be dealt with otherwise.
Although the police do not have tranquilizer guns, the M&R do, and Novak says there are staff ready to be deployed if necessary.
Thunder Bay District Office has staff who are trained in the chemical immobilization as well as trap and transfer of bears, and they do so only at the request of police.
The M&R does have a 24/7 bear reporting line which operates from April 1st to November 30th for residents who have questions about the animals. Novak says the best way to avoid contact with bears is to clear your yard and house of attractants like garbage. Ashley Bacon, TBT News.
Well, today marked the final day of the spring session of the Ontario Legislature, and Premier Kathleen Wynne used the occasion to introduce some changes to the Provincial Elections Act. Under the changes, Ontario will get 50 new MPPs as riding boundaries are being altered to mirror those of federal ridings more closely. And the Premier also announced that the date of the 2018 vote is being moved.
This would reduce potential overlaps with federal and municipal campaigns, and that means that the next provincial general election would take place in the spring of 2018 as opposed to the fall of 2018.
The New Democrats say Wynne failed to consult with the opposition parties or the public before announcing changes to the way elections are held.
Another candidate has stepped forward to contest the NDP nomination in the Kenora riding. Peter Edwards, an employee with the Kenora Association for Community Living, has announced that he's hoping to be the party candidate in the October federal vote. While Edwards has never held political office, he currently serves as vice president of the Kenora NDP Riding Association. He'll be running for the party nod against former provincial NDP leader Howard Hampton. The eventual winner will face Conservative Cabinet Minister Greg Rickford and former Liberal Cabinet Minister Bob Nault in the general election.
Political and business leaders converged on Thunder Bay today for Apex, a networking event aimed at growing Aboriginal business. But the day's biggest draw may have been a West Coast chief who claims that economic success is the cure to social ills. Shally Lee explains.
It's a networking event giving Native and non-Native business people a chance to speak face-to-face. But at this Apex Aboriginal Partnership Exchange, Osuyu's Chief Clarence Louie was the biggest draw, talking about how economic development can fix social problems.
Unemployment is rampant on most Indian reserves, and that's why we have so many social and health problems, education problems, addiction problems. Is because their people don't have a good paying job to get up to every morning.
Louie is chief of Osuyu's Indian Band, an Okanagan government in British Columbia. Osuyu's has invested heavily in economic development and now boasts vineyards, golf courses, and resorts on its territory. Louie says other First Nations need to prioritize development as well.
Many First Nations are making millions of dollars and they're creating hundreds of jobs, and we're getting back to the working lifestyle pre the reserves. We're getting back to that independence.
Pick River Energy is just one example of that independence. Owned and operated by the Pick River First Nation, the company has 3 generating stations in northwestern Ontario. CEO Byron Leclerc says the dividends from that company are being returned to the community.
One of the things that we've done recently is look at investment of our own dollars in terms of supporting supply problems with local pulp and paper mills along the North Shore. Of course, we wouldn't be involved in some of those secondary opportunities unless we had the support of dividends from our energy program.
The Apex event was organized by the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce and Anishinaabe ASCII Development Fund. Shally Lee, TBT News.
The future of mining lies not only with the companies invested here in the Northwest, but with those who will eventually work in the industry. That's why getting the next generation interested in it is a big part of the upcoming Mining Day scheduled for Thunder Bay this weekend. The 3rd annual event was announced today and will have many activities for children, as well as displays and demonstrations for older participants. Organizing Committee Chair Bob Chataway says there is a future in mining here in the Northwest. While the industry is going through a bit of a lull right now, Chataway says developing new mining operations takes time. And that's why he feels it's important to get exhibitors, speakers, companies, and those interested in the industry together to learn about where mining in northwestern Ontario is headed.
They're interested in the fun activities for Mining Day and just learning about the awareness of the industry, because it's been in the news, and wondering, some of them wonder why things aren't getting better, but it's we're able to let them know about the cycles of mining and understand the mining cycle itself and the time frame that it's involved in.
Mining Day will be held at Marina Park here in Thunder Bay Saturday from 10 until 4.
The daily grind mixed with the added stress of exams can wear students down. But the solution is simple, according to some students at St. Ignatius High School. Taking the day off from their studies to engage in stress-busting activities is how these students are unwinding. In total, 8 activities were being run. It's the 3rd year this event has been held. The activities are run by the students, and while their classmates get to participate, those running it are completing part of their curriculum. They say they've noticed the positive effect it provides for students.
Well, for my group, we're the painting station, so basically students will come and they get to paint in a very calm atmosphere with music in the background, and they just get to paint whatever they feel. They don't have to paint anything specific, and they get to express their feelings through that.
Some of the more serious ones, like the yoga and the painting, you can see the concentration and they're getting their minds off of like the other things in life that are stressing them out. But then there's other activities where, well, ours are just like a bunch of fun, different games that you can just do by yourself, and they just let you calm down and relieve your stress.
The students say positive and constructive stress relief is very important, especially to nourish their minds.
Turning into weather now, Phil. A dreary day out there. It's been trying to rain, then it rains. Border Cats continue their homestand tonight. Any chance that the rain will hold off or be gone by then?
Well, I know this afternoon it was mostly cloudy skies. In fact, that's what we've been seeing all day long. As for the Border Cats tonight, probably going to taper off, but we are still seeing a system move through that could drop a little bit more of the wet stuff on us. As I mentioned, we were seeing mostly cloudy skies all day. Daytime high, however, of 15 degrees. Winds coming out of the east-southeast around 4 kilometers an hour this afternoon. But what is very promising is the pressure. It's been going up all day to about 101.9 kilopascals right now. That's going to continue to increase. So there's that good weather on the horizon. We're already starting to see some of that good weather further west, in fact, at this hour. Sunny and cloudy skies up near Pickle Lake, 17 degree, 21 in Sioux Lookout, 21 in Red Lake, 23 in Kenora. That's down from 25 a little earlier on. Very sunny and 19 in Atikokan right now. Still seeing some of that low pressure and slightly grayer weather out in Greenstone. 13 right now, very cloudy skies, and still a bit of rain on and off for Sault Ste. Marie. They're sitting at 16 degrees. Thunder Bay not expecting to see any rain overnight tonight, but we are going to start with some mostly cloudy skies going into the overnight hours. Overnight low expected of 7 degrees, winds coming out of the north-northeast between 5 and 14 kilometers an hour. But that pressure, as I mentioned earlier, will continue to go up. And that high-pressure system tomorrow will bring with it some sunny skies and some very warm and comfortable temperatures for tomorrow. I'll let you know more about that a little later on in the news hour.
All right, thanks very much, Phil. Well, some new anti-terrorism measures announced by the federal government today. There will now be enhanced screening for a large number of people who are attempting to visit this country. We'll have details on that and more for you right after these words.
We'll make sure people are who they say they are.
Canada has announced some new measures to beef up security for those seeking to enter the country.
The Prime Minister has announced visitors who need visas to get into the country will soon have to undergo biometric screening. The iris and fingerprint scans are already required for visitors from 29 countries, including Syria and Egypt. Now, 150 more countries are being added to that list. Janice Golding has more on how passengers at Toronto's International Airport were responding to the announcement.
Toronto's Pearson International Airport is always busy. Thousands of people arriving into our country every day, and many of them could soon be facing increased security measures. Prime Minister Stephen Harper wants to add another layer of security to prevent criminals from entering the country, asking travelers from countries that require visas to go through a series of biometric tests that could include retinal scanning and fingerprinting.
We'll make sure people are who they say they are. Make sure the person who arrives in Canada is the same person who applied for the visa overseas. Because you can fake your name, you can fake your documents, but you cannot fake your fingerprints.
Canada would join about 70 other countries that already require biometric information. The practice is commonplace in Europe and among many of Canada's allies like the US, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand.
Today we are increasing our capacity to detect terrorists and terrorist plots, to choke off the financing that supports them, and to secure our borders against known and suspected terrorists who wish to enter.
As it stands, Canada asks for these types of security steps from travelers from nearly 30 countries. But the changes would see 148 other nations added to that list. The screenings would take place before a person enters Canada.
I don't care. I can give my fingerprints, my family fingerprints, because I'm not a criminal. So why should I worry?
I got nothing to hide, so let's do it.
I think if it's to prevent any harm coming to the country or anything like that, any future acts of terrorism, then in that case, I think in that case it should be okay.
No information would be collected from Canadians or from Americans visiting our country.
Moncton is marking a heartbreaking anniversary. A year ago today, 3 RCMP officers were killed by a gunman who opened fire on a quiet community.
Yet in a time of darkness and great sadness, we as Montonians did what we always have done. We pulled together and we supported each other.
Moncton's mayor helped unveil the final design of a memorial to Constables David Ross, Fabrice Javadin, and Doug Larche. The memorial will be prominently placed in a waterfront park. The gunman, Justin Burke, was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 75 years. The widows of those 3 fallen RCMP constables spoke earlier today.
The world of soccer is lurching from crisis to scandal. Now, a former vice president with soccer's governing body, FIFA, says he's going to blow the whistle about FIFA and its president. Jack Warner is one of the 14 FIFA officials who were arrested and indicted in a massive international bribery scandal. Now, Warner claims he fears for his life, but says he's tired of keeping secrets. Peter Ackman has the latest.
One thing is clear, if Jack Warner is going down for corruption and bribery, he's going to bring every dirty FIFA official with him.
I have, as promised, compiled a comprehensive and detailed series of documents, including checks and corroborated statements. There can be no turning back.
In a televised address, the former vice president, who stepped down in 2011 amidst bribery allegations, promised to reveal an avalanche of evidence, from links between FIFA officials and the 2010 election in Trinidad and Tobago, right up to the organization's leader.
To also deal with my knowledge of financial transactions at FIFA, including, but not limited to, its president, Mr. Sepp Blatter.
La FIFA a besoin. Blatter announced he'd step down on Tuesday, days after being re-elected to a 5th consecutive term. While the FIFA boss hasn't been charged, many believe eventually the scandal will reach Blatter.
Every year he turned up at a Congress and he would say the change starts tomorrow. That never happened.
Delaney should know. Today he confirmed Ireland's Soccer Federation was paid $7 million by FIFA in 2009 to stop legal proceedings after a missed call during a match with France resulted in the team missing the World Cup. Around the world, more insiders are stepping forward with evidence against FIFA.
It actually relates to payments made by FIFA to certain high-ranking officials in South Africa.
Authorities there say those payments are linked to South Africa's 2010 World Cup, an investigation they say was already quashed once.
There was an investigation in South Africa with regard to that, especially the non-payment of taxes. and that investigation was halted after political influence.
Still denying any wrongdoing, today Sepp Blatter announced that he met with the head of FIFA's Independent Audit and Compliance Committee after he vowed to reform the world governing body and rid it of all corruption. Peter Ackman, CTV News, Toronto.
Disaster teams in China are preparing to use cranes to right a ship in the Yangtze River. They're hoping to quicken the search for more than 360 people who've been missing since the vessel capsized 3 days ago. Ian Williams reports.
This is the main staging area for the rescue operation, though realistically it is now looking unlikely that they'll find anybody else alive. And the number of survivors remains stubbornly at just 14 of the 456, mostly elderly people that were on board the Oriental Star when it capsized. I went out to the area, to the rescue site earlier today. There are still many rescue workers on top of the hull cutting their way in. They've been doing that since last night, and we believe they now have about 3 or 4 different holes into which divers have been going. They have pulled out some bodies, but as of today, nobody else alive. What's most significant is they've now positioned 2 large salvage vessels right over the hull. Their cranes hanging poised to attach to that hull. Another 3 salvage vessels are now in the area, just slightly out into the Yangtze River. And we do expect over the next 24 to 48 hours, a decision will be made to raise the ship from the river. Ian Williams, NBC News, Jianli, China.
A third member of the Bush dynasty is about to make a bid to become President of the United States. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush is expected to formally announce his campaign for the Republican presidential nomination on June 15th. That's according to a new campaign website that went up this morning. Bush is the son of former President George H. Bush and the brother of George W. Bush. Jeb Bush is 52. He has been raising money and campaigning for months, but not as an official candidate.
Dozens of people have been killed in a gas station explosion in Ghana. The blast happened in the capital city of Accra. It's believed flood water swept stored fuel into a burning fire, sparking the blast at the gas station. Dozens of people were taking shelter from the rain at the gas station when the explosion occurred. At least 73 bodies have been recovered, and that death toll is expected to rise. Ghana's president commented on the tragedy this morning.
It is being hailed by some as a major breakthrough, the first drug of its kind to hit the market. It's called flibanserin, and its makers say it's like Viagra for women. Karen Travers has more.
Today, a potential breakthrough for women's health. An FDA advisory committee is considering approval for the pill called Viagra for women. Its official name isn't so sexy, flibanserin from Sprout Pharmaceuticals. If approved, it would be groundbreaking, the first drug of its kind to hit the market. It's used to treat hypoactive sexual desire disorder, or HSDD, a persistent lack of desire for sex that causes stress. Experts say it affects an estimated 1 in 10 women. The manufacturer says the drug works to correct biochemical imbalances in the brain to restore sexual desire in premenopausal women. 2 previous attempts in 2010 and 2013 to bring this drug to market failed. Experts said there were inconclusive advantages when the drug was compared to a placebo. And there are also significant side effects, including nausea, dizziness, and sleepiness. The CEO of Sprout Pharmaceuticals says they believe they've addressed the FDA's concerns, and the third time will be the charm for approval. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
A Kitchener man is preparing to file suit against an Ontario colonoscopy clinic. He's one of 4 people infected at the clinic with hepatitis C, a chronic and sometimes fatal liver disease. All were infected because of the improper use of a vial of anesthetic. It's a recurring problem across North America, one that doctors say must be resolved for people to have confidence that the tests they get to avoid illnesses don't make them sick. Avis Favreau reports.
The colonoscopy results were good. Jack Goss had no signs of colon cancer. The bad news came a year later. A blood test found the 48-year-old had been infected with hepatitis C, a virus public health says he likely got during that exam.
I'm not sure what this is going to do to my future, how my health is going to be down the road.
A public health report confirms Mr. Goss is among 4 patients treated at this colonoscopy clinic in Kitchener who now have the chronic liver disease after what appears to be a common yet preventable lapse in anesthesia use.
No one expects to go in for a colonoscopy and walk out with hepatitis C.
According to the report, staff used a large multi-dose vial of the anesthetic propofol on 5 patients and may have reused the same syringe as well, unaware that the first patient carried hepatitis C. In a statement, the colonoscopy clinic says it's cooperated fully with the public health office in its investigation and that it's implemented advice on how to further strengthen its infection prevention and control practices. There have been over 50 outbreaks just like this in the U.S. and Canada over the last decade, despite long-standing guidelines that discourage the use of multi-dose vials because of this very risk.
The infection control community has been talking about this literally for decades.
Some doctors believe one reason is cost. Multi-use vials of anesthetic are less expensive than safer single-use vials.
You need to get the owners and the people operating and working in these clinics to identify that this is a massive issue that needs to change. And until that message gets to that level, I'm afraid we're still going to be seeing more outbreaks like this.
It's one reason why Jack Goss is suing, making his case public.
I want it to be safer for people going into these colonoscopies in the future, so nobody has to go through this like I am.
In fact, there's a campaign underway in the U.S. to help cut the risk of these contaminations, with some suggesting that drug companies should stop selling the multi-use vials to help reduce these medical errors. Avis Favreau, CTV News, Toronto.
Finally, 3 American contestants on the game show Jeopardy have been schooled on Canadian trivia the hard way.
An intersection in this provincial capital is the original western terminus of the Trans-Canada Highway. Near the end of the country, Victoria, British Columbia. Less than a minute now, Randy.
The Canadian cities category was untouched until the very end, obviously for a good reason.
Is a symbol of this Ontario city. Each year, white and black swans are released into the Avon River.
What is Edmonton?
Oh, no. What is Stratford?
Yeah, Alex Trebek, the host, who's originally from Sudbury, was seemingly a little perturbed by their lack of knowledge, but like every good Canadian, still very polite. Let's take a look at today's market activity now in Toronto. The TSX dropped 135 points today to 15,019. Now plunged 170, closing at 17,905. Nasdaq lost 40 points, finishing at 50.59. Canadian dollar down a third of a cent to 79.97 cents US. Gold fell about $10 to $1,175 an ounce. And oil down over $1.50 to close at $58 a barrel. Game one Stanley Cup Finals now in the books. If last night's any indication, people are in for a pretty competitive series.
Yeah, I don't see too many blowouts. I think we could see a couple of overtime games in this one. I'm just hoping for a long series, not a 4-game sweep. I know somebody to the left of me who'd love to see a 4-game sweep.
Gabby doesn't care.
Well, the teams in the Stanley Cup Final will get a couple of days to prepare for Game 2 of the series Saturday night in Tampa Bay. The Hawks would draw first blood, riding a strong third period to a 2-1 victory in Game 1. Here's your highlights. Fast start by the Lightning, who are unbeaten in the playoffs when they score first. Guess what? They score first. Alex Killorn redirects an Anton Strawman shot behind Corey Crawford for his 8th. But the Hawks press for the equalizer in the second. Brad Richards tries for the top corner from close range, but Ben Bishop snares it. Right after that, the Hawks almost have an own goal called against them as Strawman's shot hits the stick of Captain Jonathan Toews, but Crawford's alert. He keeps it out 1-0 after 2 in the third. Duncan Keith, nice play at the line, sets up Toivo Teravainen. He'll go blocker side on Bishop for the equalizer, his third of the playoffs. We had once. 2 minutes later, Chicago with the lead. JT Brown loses the puck, rolls to Antoine Vermette. He'll go barring in. That's the game-winning goal, his third of the postseason. The Blackhawks take Game 1 2-1. Your Thunder Bay Border Cats put their home unbeaten record on the line at 7:05 tonight at Port Arthur Stadium as they look to climb over the 500 mark for the first time since the first week of the season against Eau Claire. They made it 3 for 3 against the Express last night. Mike Albanese has the highlights.
The Border Cats hope to keep a stellar start against the Eau Claire Express alive, and in the bottom of the first they do so. Michael Moog's up to bat with 1 man on and 2 outs. He cranks the ball down the middle for a triple, bringing home Grant McCowan for the opening run. Next batter up is Alan Baldwin. He doesn't even need to go to work. Jameson Stieg box, allowing Moog to strut on in. 2 batters later, Kyle Comer would bring in Baldwin on a single. It was 3-zip Cats coming out of the first. But the Cats stayed at it in the bottom of the second. Not as productive, but still tallying runs as Mike Palladino gets home after McCowan grounds a ball upright. Top of the third, Matt Batten shows his defensive prowess, snagging a ground ball, spinning and dishing it to first for the beautiful out. Top of the fourth now, the Express get their first hit of the game, and then it begins to drizzle out. Bad weather means bad news for the Cats as Tyler Jones launches up a sac fly and Irving Lopez gets home to cut into the lead. It's 4-1 for the Cats. Top of the sixth, the Express jump back into the game with Lopez up to bat and Brady Brzezinski on first. Lopez crushes a home run. That got the dugout back into it as the lead is down to 1. Jump all the way to the top of the ninth. Donnie Sellers comes in for the save, but the real hero for the Cats D is Batten, who gets under a pop-up to seal the 4-3 win for the Border Cats, who improved to 3-0 against Eau Claire. Mike Albanese, TVT Sports.
The Blue Jays have the night off, returning home to host surprising Houston at the Rogers Center tomorrow night. They're coming off a 3-3 road trip, including taking 2 of 3 from Washington. The series finale took place last night. The Jays would jump on Nationals pitcher Taylor Jordan in the first. Jose Bautista drives in his 31st run of the year with a clean single to left. Jose Reyes makes it 1-zip. Chris Colabello would follow, extending his hitting streak to 14 games with a base knock the other way. And that knocks in the American League's Player of the Week, Josh Donaldson. Kevin Pillar caps a 4-run first for Toronto with a 1-bagger of his own. This one to left, the ex-twin Colabello counts 4-zip. Top of the fourth, Reyes drills his single to right. Ryan Goins gets going. He'll beat Bryce Harper's throw home, and it's 5-0. In the ninth, the power outage is over for Bautista. He'll swat a solo shot off Taylor Hill to left for his 8th homer. Mark Burley tosses a complete game for his 7th win. 8-0 was the final. Your Thunder Bay Chill have been ravaged by injuries only 2 games into the season at the keeper position. Daniel Alvarado has yet to play, recovering from off-season knee surgery. The Chill then lost Michael Miller, who sprained an ankle in the season opener, forcing Thunder Bay to start 18-year-old rookie Jack Hughes in Game 2. So what do you do when you're down to 1 healthy goalie with no PDL experience? Well, you call up a former Canadian national team member. Here's Ryan Benazzo with more on new goalie Daniel Milton.
At 18 years old, Daniel Milton is young, but certainly not inexperienced. At just 14, he was thrown into Canada's under-17 national program. He represented the red and white at the 2013 FIFA U17 World Cup. And most recently, he played in England with the Blackpool FC Youth Academy. A couple weeks ago, he'd heard of the Chill, but knew little about the club.
I got word during last week that both goalkeepers had the injuries, and that was my first time having communications with them. The club and all the guys that are part of the team have been great so far. They helped me settle in well, and I'm enjoying it so far.
And after a pair of strong performances and exhibition play last weekend, including a clean sheet against the Winnipeg Lions on Saturday, he's made a good first impression.
I think he's an absolutely amazing goalkeeper. He talks a lot. Behind us, sometimes I get carried away watching the game, and he's always yelling, tuck in, and that's what we want from our goalkeeper.
The first impression is very good. We need this kind of goalkeeper. He had a good communication, which is very important in my opinion.
Fellow keepers Daniel Alvarado and Michael Miller each return to practice this week, but it remains to be seen whether either will be ready for game action this weekend when Springfield comes to town. The division of labor, once everyone is back and healthy, is still to be determined. But Petraglia is excited about the sudden depth at the position.
Now we have lots of goalkeepers as well, which is good, which is going to give me a good... you have to decide for goalkeeper as well, which I like, because as everybody else, the best one is to go in, depending on the form of the way they train.
We haven't spoken too much with my roles. I'm taking it just 1 week at a time, and if some things change later on, then that's just how it is. But until now, I'm just hoping to settle in and play as much as I can.
Ryan Benazzo, TBT Sports.
Lake Hits men's basketball team has recruited 6-foot guard Michael Ganson, who starred at his high school in Guelph. The NBA final tips off tonight in Oakland. Golden State making its first appearance in 40 years, while LeBron James leads Cleveland into battle. That city hasn't won a pro sports title in 51 years.
Set to take center court, Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter of his time, versus LeBron James, regarded as one of the best players on the planet. A coveted championship title the Cleveland Cavaliers have never achieved.
We work our butts off to get it. I'm sure the city will be ready.
And for that very reason, LeBron James famously returned home after his controversial departure in 2010. Making his 5th consecutive finals appearance, James's experience setting him apart, since none of the Warriors players have ever made it this far. And if they win, they'll be the youngest team to win a championship in more than 3 decades.
Youth can really work towards your advantage, right?
We hope so.
That youthful advantage coming from the reigning MVP, Stephen Curry.
If he wins this championship over LeBron, he could become the face of the league.
The rising star says faith and family keep him grounded. He married his high school sweetheart.
She's not a basketball fan.
And his daughter Riley,
He did that for his...
already known for stealing the show from her famous father.
No matter if I score 50 or score 10, they're going to treat me the same way, so I can rely on that.
Your daughter's going to be unimpressed, probably, right?
Yeah, she'll come and probably shake her head.
A fight to the finish isn't the only thing James and Curry share. Both are from the same town, Akron, Ohio, even born in the same hospital.
No disrespect to LeBron, I want to be the first Akron guy to get bring a championship to that area, so that should be fun.
Two-time French Open champ Serena Williams overcame the flu to advance to the final, beating Tamaya Baczynski 6-3, 6-love in their women's semifinal match today. She'll take on Lucy Safarova this weekend for the title. And at the OFSA Soccer Championships, that's high school in Windsor, not a good start for St. Pat's. They were blown out by London 4-0. On the men's side, Hammersholt a much closer game, but they lose to Etobicoke 1-0. They both play again tonight. We'll have results on the Lit Edition.
And Stanley Cup finals resume Saturday night.
That is correct.
All right, thanks very much, Ray.
Okay, well, over on Global Thunder Bay tonight, an ex-thug is no longer saying namaste. With your full lineup, here's Teletalk.
Thursday nights are all about major drama and a whole lot of laughter. First, on Global Thunder Bay at 8, a former gang member turned yoga instructor is murdered on Bones. At 9 in Rookie Blue, Andy, Juliet, Nick, and Gail are caught in a riot at a women's prison. And at 10 on Elementary, a postal store owner's murder is connected to illegal diamonds. Over on CKPR Thunder Bay, starting at 8, Sheldon wants a more difficult life on The Big Bang Theory. At 8:30 on The Odd Couple, Oscar throws Felix a last-minute surprise birthday party. Then at 9 on The Goldbergs, Barry becomes the school mascot in order to be closer to Lainey. At 9:30 on another Big Bang Theory, Sheldon considers making some major life changes. And at 10 on CSI, criminals don't stand a chance as these high-tech detectives hunt down every clue. For complete listings, go to ckprthunderbay.com.
Well, Phil, we did see some rain in Thunder Bay today, but nothing compared to what they're seeing on both the east and west coast. You said they're actually going to have sort of opposite weather forecasts.
Yeah, complete polar opposites over the next 24 to 48 hours on both coasts, but I'll get back to that a little later on. First, just reiterating what we saw today. Daytime high, beautiful 15 degrees, not too warm, not too cold, mostly cloudy skies. But like I said earlier, that pressure is what we're really keeping our eye on. That is bringing some good weather with it for the end of the week. And right now they're looking at some very good weather out in Vancouver. 18 degrees. A few more clouds have rolled in this evening, but things are expected to continue in terms of the temperature. In fact, they're expecting to go up. There's a special weather statement for the whole southern portion of British Columbia right now. Temperatures could be hovering in the 30-plus temperature degree over the next 24 to 48 hours, so they're keeping an eye on that. Not too warm, however, in Prince George, still hovering around 21 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, still a bit clear here and there. Very cloudy on the other side of the Rockies. Edmonton, 21, very cloudy skies and 21 in Calgary as well. But things are clearing up as we go over to Saskatoon. 22 degrees, a few clouds have started to drift in this afternoon. Similar in Regina at 21 currently. 23 in Winnipeg, and more sunny patches for them this afternoon. Still very cool, and just a little bit of cloud up in Churchill. They're at 3 right now. Those warm temperatures starting to dissipate just a little bit as we pass Sault Ste. Marie, sitting at 15 right now, but going back up to 21 for Toronto. Very cloudy skies, just a few clear patches still. Mostly clear skies, but just a few clouds, and 25 in the Ottawa and Montreal region right now. 22, mostly cloudy skies in and around Quebec City. As we make our way out to the east coast, things clearing up a little bit in New Brunswick. Fredericton has cleared up to nice sunny skies for the afternoon, 18 right now for them. However, still quite a few clouds in Halifax and 11. Charlottetown sitting at 13 with partially sunny skies. And St. John's sitting at 2 and very cloudy skies, and those temperatures will continue to drop because they are actually looking at a frost advisory going into overnight tonight. So very different at both ends of Canada right now. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, that high pressure system will move into Thunder Bay, looking to get a bit of a warm front as well. And that's going to stay clear up until about noon on Saturday. And then things are going to start getting a little bit more cloudy. And as you can see, there's a nice big patch of precipitation just on the border. That's going to start making its way further east. Could see some more wet conditions going into Sunday, so we will keep an eye on that system. Overnight tonight, however, no rain expected, just partially cloudy skies to start, and then that's going to clear up as we go into the morning. Single digits right across the board, a little bit warmer out in Kenora and Dryden and Fort Frances, around 9. A little bit cooler as we go towards Thunder Bay, but Sault Ste. Marie will hold at 8 for their overnight low. Tomorrow, temperatures rebounding nicely. 19 expected for a daytime high in Sault Ste. Marie. Very sunny skies right across northwestern Ontario. 20 expected in Atikokan, 20 expected in Fort Frances, 22 in Kenora. And like I said, just lots of sun right across the region. 17 at this hour in Thunder Bay, still keeping those very cloudy skies. Winds coming out of the north-northeast. That's going to continue as we go into the overnight. A little bit stronger winds gusting at 19 kilometers an hour occasionally. Mostly cloudy skies, overnight low of 7. But like I said, that's going to clear up as we go into tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies to kick off the day. 12 degrees to start around 8 and 9 a.m. Northeasterly winds 13 to 18 kilometers an hour. By the afternoon, 19 is our expected daytime high, keeping those beautiful sunny skies. Winds coming out of the east-southeast between 14 and 18 kilometers an hour. Over the next 5 days, this is what we're expecting to see. Friday, 19, as I mentioned, 17 expected for Saturday. Mostly sunny skies. Sunday, however, that drizzle will start to roll in, and we are still going to keep the mid-teens for our daytime high around 16. Monday, however, just a passing shower or two and a rebound to the 22 for a daytime high, and 24 expected for our Tuesday daytime high and partly sunny skies. So over the next few days, we have to deal with a little bit of drizzle on and off, but for the most part, warm and sunny conditions are in our future. And that's your forecast.
Time now for our weekly trip to the Thunder Bay and District Humane Society shelter. Tonight, we want to introduce you to a 7-year-old lab cross, and his name is Bailey.
Hi, this week's Humane Society Pet of the Week is Bailey, who is a 7-year-old lab mix. And as you can see, Bailey here is a bundle of energy. And he was surrendered to the Humane Society, and now he's looking for a new chance. Despite his age, he's got a lot of energy, needs some work on a leash, and he's looking for somebody who's really going to help him play and live out life with exuberance, because he's certainly got a lot of that. He's good with some dogs, not sure about cats, so probably stay away from the felines. But if you'd like to meet this impressive boy, come ask for Bailey today.
Your Pet of the Week has been brought to you by Thunder Pet. Expert advice and high-quality pet food within your budget.
A happy-looking pup, eh?
Yeah.
There are a few things in this world that are as much fun to watch as young ones at play, and we've got a couple of very special young ones to show you coming up after these words. been somewhat of a slow start to spring here in the Northwest, but in Alaska, they've actually been setting records for how warm it is. And that's resulted in some rather unusual activity. Take a look at this. This is the site a homeowner spotted in Eagle River, Alaska, when she looked out of her kitchen window. A cow moose and her twin calves frolicking in the family's lawn sprinkler and enjoying it. Just proving that playing in the water is fun for kids of all kinds. And fun to watch too, isn't it?
And I'm sure many adults in Thunder Bay, when we have a heat wave, wouldn't mind doing that themselves on their front lawns.
Yeah, but I don't want to get in there and play with moose while they're on the lawn, if that's okay.
Well, recapping our top local headline, the Provincial Special Investigations Unit has determined that no Thunder Bay police officers will be charged in connection to the death of a man in custody last August. But they did have some harsh criticism for the Thunder Bay police officers, saying that officers failed to report or respond to complaints from the man about having breathing difficulties that may have led him to receive medical attention.
And the Border Cats continue their 4-game homestand. They have yet to lose at home. Here's hoping that streak continues. They're going up against Eau Claire. Mike Albanese will have highlights later.
And for tomorrow, things just going up to 19 and sunny.
Looking forward to that. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you all again tomorrow.
Thank you.